Annalene has went back to Norway because she had to go work. So now I'm back here in Rabbit, and instead of sailing on, I decided to order a new Autopilot. I ordered the pelagic model. A couple people have recommended it. I'll let you know when I get that. We'll install that. Probably this video, I guess. So in the meantime, I got some time to kill because everything takes forever when you're trying to ship things internationally. I got some stuff I've been meaning to do. One is this sensor. They sent it to me a while back to try out. Basically, this is to replace the boat monitor I currently have. What is that one called? Via Crew, something like that. And that's been working pretty good, except for recently the bilge water detector started malfunctioning. Now it just randomly will say there's water in the bilge, even though there's not. Via Crew only doesn't work in the only works around Europe and not in the Americas. And I'm going to be crossing the Atlantic again, so this one I was told would work worldwide, I believe. It's uses a 4G signal, and it just monitors your boat, tells you if the bilge, has water in it. Another thing that this one has that's a little different is I believe it actually can tell you a little bit of the level of the bilge. Let me just get that out of the bag. Yeah, so it's got maybe a sensor that tells you how high, but then if it gets higher, then I know that the electric pumps have failed. So I guess this will go to the battery, so it can also tell you via the cellular signal the battery state of charge, or at least the voltage of your two battery banks. The starting and the house battery. Probably has a GPS also, I'm imagining, so you can use it as an anchor alarm. Those are kind of useful to have if you're going to be leaving your boat somewhere for a while. It's just kind of nice to have that, be able to check on it. I've enjoyed having it on the Via Crew, so hopefully the sensor will work just as well, and in more places too. So I think I'll just stick it right here. I can cover up these old holes, that'll look kind of nice just on my little control panel here. Bracket just screwed on there. I guess this it's easy. So now I just run my cables, and here's the broken Via Crew sensor, which seems to be going off too much. Looks like there's maybe corrosion on the sensor or something. I don't know. I'm not sure what the deal is there. So I just scuffed up the sensor and the little spot in the bilge, and they've got some sticky tape here. We'll use this tape because I don't want to drill a hole in the side of the the boat, because that would make water probably come in. Got our tape on there. Looks like some quality tape, and I'll just stick it on the side here. Right there. Looks good. It looks like this thing is pretty. Looks like a pretty quality. Well, I had the same problem before. No tape just doesn't stick to the side of this bilge. It's not even doesn't even get close to sticking. Darn. I used their prep and I sanded it. I had the same problem with the tape the other thing included. So I guess it's just that paint or whatever doesn't stick. Came up with a better solution. I had this little aluminum bracket left over from another project, and I just screwed that onto the back of the lightning grounding block thing, and that way I was able to get this thing zip tied right in the middle of the hole. And that should be nice, because if it was over on the side, it would be bad, because then when it heeled over, the bilge, water would rise, and then when it heeled on the other side, it would drop and not get a good reading. So I like to have it in the middle, just like I put the switch in the middle too. There we go. I think we're all hooked up. Let's just see if I've got no lights. So there's some lights on here, but they didn't light up. There you go. Plug it back in. I'm plugging it. It seemed to work. So now I got their app installed. It's called Sensor Marine. We're gonna make an account, of course, but then we got our battery voltage there. So house battery and starter. Both looks good. Then we see the water level, 0 inches. I got a G meter, bilge pump. I don't have the sensor hooked up for that, but the geofence also looks in the correct spot. And then there's a calendar, and I'm not sure what that's for, but looks good. So thanks, Sensor Marine, for sending this over. I found this nice stainless steel arch by the garbage, and I don't think it's quite big enough to. I want to replace that arch because it's too low. I can't stand up underneath it. I don't think it'll work for that, but I think it could be some nice boom gallows over the Dodger if I trim it down a little bit. So it appears if I cut it right here and I expand it, just gotta stretch it out a little bit, I can mount them these plates on the side, and that'll be about just the right height for the new boom gallows while adding a bunch of extra handholds. And I think that'll be pretty good. It's a shame to cut it up though, because it would be higher. It would be about the right height for my stern arch. I just don't think, maybe if I had that in combination with the bimini bow, I could put the solar panels up there, balance it on that. But I think that's a bigger project, and I probably don't have time to tackle that, or all the tools here. I think settling for these like awesome grab rails will still be a win, and replace my little makeshift boom gallows, which worked pretty good. But sometimes I like to be able to move it to both sides or the middle, so that will give me more flexibility having it go all the way across. And also now that my sail is slightly different shape, the boom usually sits higher, so I would need the boom gallows to be just a wee bit higher. So this will accomplish both of those. Angle grinder time to cut the arch a little shorter. I've taken all the gadgets off the arch. I might actually remount them, but on the underside, I can't have them on top because the boom needs to go there. Look how crowded this marina gets though at night. This is only beginning. It's gonna be packed in like an hour or two. So it looks like I need to lower this just a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make this work actually. So far as that. Hey, I decided to use ratchet straps on each side. Just stretch this out a little bit, and I think we might be low enough now. And I can just put a bolt, 2 bolts on each side. Hopefully that should hold it in there good, I think. Just raise the sail, and look, we have plenty of clearance, I think. Oh, here comes some wind. That's not great. Let me see if I pull the main sheet tight just to make sure it still has clearance. It just touches a little bit with the main sheet all the way tight, so I think I can cut just a little bit off of here, and that will make this set down better so I can screw in. So we got this thing screwed in, just using screws for now, but the way it's positioned, so just pulling the screws like from the side, so I think that will be fine, but I will replace it with through bolts when I can get the right size. But this thing, oh man, it's super solid. So this is awesome. I'm gonna take these handles off now and move them right like in between there, because I have like great handholds going from the cockpit. Then from there, I can almost reach the shrouds, but it's nice to have an intermediate, right there to the shrouds. And then to the front, I got the mast, or the railings or whatever. But that really is gonna feel good. And maybe I was experimenting with putting like a rope wrap around here just to give it some more grip. Seems to work okay, although sometimes the rope comes loose. I just keep tightening it up. Maybe I could paint that or something. I don't know. If anybody has a good idea to make this stuff less slippery, that would be helpful. I might try that. Maybe some grip tape, although it'll probably rust more. Yeah, maybe like some tennis grip tape, something like that. What should I do to make those grippier? They feel fine when they're dry, but when they're wet, they are pretty slippery. And of course, the second purpose is the boom gallows. I might need to put some little cradles. I could do like 3 cradles there maybe for different positions. But for now I can just, maybe I'll put a piece of foam and just tie it around there. Now the Cape Dory does have these handholds, but the thing is, if you have to go along the low side for some reason, think about it, so the boat's heeled over like this, and then you're kind of holding yourself like this. You really want to be like holding like up here. I think that would be much better than like this. And also this is not really like I like to like wrap my hands around something solid. So I usually use this if I'm need something to hold on to. Got up at 5:30 this morning. Took the train to the Casablanca airport because that's where my Autopilot is. And supposedly I can come here and get it. It's now 3:45. I started at 9 a.m. at FedEx and I woke up at 5:30 to get the train here. Now I still got 2 hours to get back. But I have my Autopilot. I got the package. It was a long process. So here's the Autopilot. They're gonna lose points to start with for using the packing peanuts, but we do get a nice long cable. This looks like the control head with the brains that can be mounted someplace more protected.
This is the motor driver, so that gets mounted closer to the actuator. And that's where the power goes in. And there is our actuator. This looks like kind of just an off-the-shelf actuator, and you can buy these things pretty cheap from like AliExpress and stuff. So that's kind of nice. And of course we got the remote, so that should be nice to have a remote. Just some invoice. There's the price there. Anything else in there? What is that? Oh, just little bits and bobs for installing it.
So it's time to install this Autopilot. Good job for the new drill from Norway. And you're buying Ryobi tools in Norway. The thing about them being cheap isn't so true. But I have so many batteries that it just made sense to get this drill, and Huntley was whatever, just got it. So we have to make this hole bigger so I can put the plug for the Autopilot. It's kind of a big guy. That is a thick deck. Look at that. So we got the new actuator. There's a control box on this one. There it is. So the power goes to the control box, and there's a wire going to the head. And these are for if you have like a below deck with a clutch or wind sensor. Okay, first power up. Got all the wiring put together. Now I should be able to go left and right with it. I needed an angle bracket to mount the Autopilot to the Dodger, and I found this napkin holder, which I think I gotta cut the front off. That will make two little angles. So I got that mounted up. It would have been nice if they included some little L brackets, but my homemade ones work pretty easily. I do like how this one is like facing this way, so it just like this one goes right, this button goes left. That's easier to keep track of than on the Simrads, where you push this one to go right and this one to go left, like forward goes right. That means it always kind of hurt my head to think about. Maybe it's the other way around. I don't even know right now. But I like how this one, it just looks more legit than this like, you know, plasticky thing. So I think the motor is like a little bigger too in this one, because I think these motors are like right here. They're little, really tiny little guys. The sound of it, about the same, maybe a little better. So let me push the button, you can hear. And about the same. Eventually these start making a really annoying clicking noise. So we'll see if this phone does that too. But if I put some resistance on it, pretty strong. Feel it kind of bogging down a little bit. Go the other way. Yeah, I think we'll see how it works. The price on this thing, it's a lot more than that. Maybe twice as much. I don't know. I think this was $900 plus. You gotta get the remote, of course. You're gonna want the remote. I think it's like another $100. And I think these are started at like maybe $400 up to $700-800. Right? So I guess they get kind of similar once you get the 32 or 22. Depends on what you need. I think this is supposed to be like equivalent to like the upper end models of those. So they're at least comparable. But it's nice having that underneath the Dodger. Hopefully that will stay more protected. And I could even put that inside if I want. I still have that option of flipping it around and putting it on the bulkhead in there with the rest of the electronics. Might do that, we'll see. Picking this thing up was a heck of an adventure. I started at 5:15 in the morning, and I had a 2-hour train ride to Casablanca Airport to go to the FedEx and Customs office, and I was going to try to clear it in myself, but after like an hour, I finally got to see the inspector and going to like 4 or 5 different offices. And he opened the package right in front of me and like was looking at it. I was trying to explain it was an Autopilot for a ship, and then he just said like needed a customs declaration, and then that just made my whole life way more complicated, because then I had to pay FedEx to do the clearing, and they said it was going to take 2 or 3 days, and I just like begged and pleaded and went back and forth, and like finally got them to say they could do it that day. But so I had to wait like an hour and a half and do the declaration, and like it's basically a whole report on this thing. They had to take pictures of it, get like the invoice and like descriptions and like all these pages and pages of paperwork. It took them forever, and the whole time like there was a few people that spoke English, but every time I'd like get someone that was like able to help me, like they'd say, okay, just go over to that person, they're the inspector, and they'll take you to the next step. And I go to them, they wouldn't speak English, if they wouldn't be there, they'd be out to lunch, and then like the other person that was helpful, it would have gone somewhere else, and it was just the most chaotic thing ever. So ultimately it took 6 hours and 45 minutes. I was at the FedEx Customs office. I paid $355 in FedEx and fees and customs duties, and at one point I almost had it, but then they didn't, the shipping wasn't declared on the shipping declaration, and so then I had to wait another 2.5 hours, and then when I finally got to pay that, to pay that fee and then get it re-inspected and do everything over again, when I finally had that done and I was ready to pay, and it was $4 I owed. So after paying all that money, it was just $4 extra, and that cost me another at least 2.5 hours. Very, very frustrating. I was like, I'd almost lost it at one point. Like I knew it was gonna be bad. Like I was like really hesitant to even bother ordering this, but I think the time it took to get that's gonna be worth it, you know, crossing the Atlantic. Yeah, it was an experience for sure. I definitely learned something about African, I guess, getting things shipped internationally to Africa is a challenge. Look at all the paperwork involved on this thing. It's ridiculous. And that's just the stuff that they gave back to me. There was probably twice that they had. One more load of groceries. I think now I'm finally gonna go get the frozen and fresh stuff. Let's see how much room I have in the fridge anyway though. Before I go, it's low tide now, so I wanted to get a look at the river. So it definitely looks like I'm better off staying closer to the rocks when I come out here. I can't remember where the shallow spot was. I think it was somewhere around here though. It's gonna be at least 4 or 3.5 days before I'm on land again, so let's appreciate it. Let's use those legs. All right, I think that's gonna be the final grocery run for here. I think we got about $300, maybe $250 worth of groceries. And maybe I'll do one more run. I think we can fit more stuff, why not? It's pretty cheap here. Checkout day. Spent 30 minutes in the marina office just trying to pay. It's like they can't figure out how long my boat is, even though I gave them every document I had, and I had to fill out how long my boat was about 5 times when I got here. But we got it paid. It was about $250 for 2 weeks here. Not too bad, I suppose. Nice marina. It seems to get very loud at night here, but they do shut the music off at midnight, so there's lots of restaurant options at least. It's a little odd, they have these nice big spots, and they have cleats on these docks. But the dock they have me on over there, they have these tiny little fingers, and there's no cleats on the fingers, so you just have to like tie off to the pontoon kinda. So next step is to head over to the police and customs. I guess that's this floating dock here. Hopefully I don't have to tie it to that wall. No big deal, I guess, if I do. Pulling out to the slip and over to the police station. It looks like someone got my spot. Right to the seawall. Thanks for watching. Next video, we sail on down to Agadir. Nice big offshore passage. I got the video on Patreon now if you want to catch that. Also, I will be at the Annapolis Boat Show on October 12 and 13. If you want to stop by and say hi, I'll be at the content creators booth. I'll put the schedule on the screen. I'll see you guys next time.